and choosing either God or oppressor. Who prevailed? Who must always prevail? Whether you realize it or not, the struggles of that little body of men in those memorial days, and the act of affixing their names to that document, is one of the greatest epics since that of the advent of Jesus into the world. Then came the strokes of the Independence Bell. Believe it or not, the first strokes of that bell were known to us as truly as if we had been standing beneath it. That bell magnified and sent out the vibrations that emanated from that little center until some day they will penetrate the deepest and darkest corners of the whole earth and thus enlighten the darkest consciousness. Look at the trials and vicissitudes that led up to that event. Was not the great child born that day? See the great souls that dared to come forth to sponsor the child. Had they lost heart, see what might have happened. They did not falter or lose heart. What did happen? This great nation of all the earth was born. Her trials and tribulations since bespeak what? Are they not closely allied with the unfoldment of that great soul, Jesus of Nazareth? Cannot those that signed the Declaration of Independence that day be likened unto the wise men from the East, who saw the star symbolizing the birth of the babe in the manger, the Christ consciousness in man? Did they not perceive the star just as truly as those of old? Calling to mind the words of that declaration, can you doubt that every word was God-inspired? Stop a moment and think. Is there a parallel in all history? Is there or was there ever a document like it from which it could have been copied? Is there any doubt that it came direct from the universal mind substance? Is there any doubt that it is part of the great creative plan being brought into manifestation? Is there any doubt that it is a successive stage in the working out of that great plan? Is there any question that the watchword e pluribus unum, one out of many, or unity out of diversity, or multiplicity, was adopted during the successive stages of evolution of the Spirit of Truth? It certainly did not emanate mechanically from man's mortal mind. Then the emblematic phrase, "In God we trust," does not that show the most sanguine faith or trust in God, the Creator of all? Then the choice of the eagle, the bird which represents the highest aspiration, as the emblem. It shows that these men were deeply spiritual, or they builded better than they knew. Can you doubt for a moment that all were guided by the whole of the God Spirit in creative action? Does it not bespeak that America is destined to be the guide to the whole world? Consider the history of your nation. There is not a parallel in the history of the nations of the whole earth. Can you not see each succeeding step leading up to its fulfillment? Can you believe that there is any other than a master mind working out its unfoldment? Can you doubt that it is the great omnipotent God guiding its destiny? Just as the mustard seed, although it is among the smallest of seeds, has the faith to know that within itself it has the power to express the mustard plant, the greatest of all herbs, for when it is grown it becomes a tree, and the birds may come and lodge in the branches thereof. Just as a seed knows that within itself it has the power to express the greatest, so must we know that we have the power within ourselves to express the greatest. In giving this parable, it was the quality instead of the quantity of faith that Jesus referred to. If you have the faith of a grain of mustard seed, and that faith becomes knowing, you shall say unto this mountain, Remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. Just so the frailest poppy seed and the mightiest banyan tree, the bulb, the plant, the tree seed, all know that they can express the greatest. Each has an exact picture or representation of what it must express. So must we have an exact picture within ourselves of what we desire to express. Then there must be an inner perfecting wrought by hourly preparation, and this perfection will come forth. No flower ever burst into full bloom without this perfecting inner urge. A moment before the bud was confined within the sepal sense of self, but when this inner perfection is complete, the flower bursts forth beautifully. As the seed that falls into the ground must first give forth from self in order to grow, develop, and multiply, so must we first give forth from self to unfold. As the seed must first burst its shell in order to grow, so must we burst our shell in order to grow. So must we burst our shell of limitation to begin our growth. When this inner perfection is complete, we must come forth beautifully, the same as the flowers. As with an individual, so with a nation. Can you not see that with the Christ consciousness fully developed in such a nation, whatever is undertaken by it or by its people must work out for good to all, for the very root or heart of all government is the consciousness of those governed. Great mistakes have been made by your nation in the ongoing because you have not realized your spiritual import, and the vast majority are still deep in the material. I fully realize that great souls have guided the destiny of your nation. I also realize how little those great souls have been appreciated until they have passed on. The way has been jagged and bushy, a hard way, because man, in his limited concept thus far, let only the mortal concept build the way. See what wonders he has accomplished, but see what wonders could have been accomplished had the fuller, deeper spiritual meaning been understood and applied. In other words, had the Christ been placed at the helm of your ship of state, and could all have known the truth, as Jesus did, that the Christ is in every man, and that all are one, what wonders would stand revealed today? I behold the same glory yet to be as soon as the deep spiritual meaning of E pluribus unum is understood. Do you not realize that it is one of the first great laws of God, the one expressing through the many, one of all and for all? Consider every nation that has been founded. Those founded on true spiritual perception have endured the longest, and would have endured forever, had not materialism been allowed to creep in and gradually undermine the whole structure until they fell by their own abnormal weight, or were consumed by the misuse of the law that gave them birth. By the fall of each, what has happened? The principle or God part was preserved until in each succeeding failure we can trace a gradual rise or upward ongoing in each successive stage, until finally all must end in God, one of many. My brother, it does not need a prophet to bring you to a realization of this. See what a nation Spain was at the time Columbus set forth on his voyage of discovery, and for a short time afterwards, and see now what is happening. In a short time she will be at war with her own child. Then you will see what a helpless, impotent nation she is, hardly able to totter into a good fight or out of a poor one. To what can you attribute her impotency? Is it utter devitalization? Is it not always thus with a nation or an individual? When the body form or structure has been satiated, whether by greed or passion, the results are the same. There may be a time of seeming prosperity and success, but this is short-lived. Then the decrepit, emaciated, and wasted form bears evidence, as does the halting, uncertain step of the old. Whereas, had they conserved and developed their spiritual powers, they would be as resilient and buoyant at 500, 5,000, or 10,000 years, or eternally.